Ladies and gentlemen, members and friends, it's Matt Bailey, Alex Moores, here from SMWS Australia, branch director, VIC State manager, and we're just going to talk about the Gathering release for 2023. This is a special whiskey. This is a really exciting release for us at the Society for a huge reason that we're going to do a big reveal on shortly. We have the bottle here in front of us. We are deliberately not showing you the label just yet. Although, if you look at the title or description of this video, you'll probably work out what's going on pretty quickly. Alex.
Yes.
Now.
Hugely exciting.
Hugely exciting. Now, let's start from where this came about. So, the Gathering each year is our global gathering. It's been running for about 10 years around the world. Australia first did it, I think it was 2018.
Yep.
18, somewhere around there was our first gathering, and then 19, we really kicked it off much bigger and has been going strong ever since. It's a September activation every year. It's a chance for us as members to get together, share whiskey with friends and members, and have a good time. We did things a bit differently for 2023.
Did. And I suppose worth mentioning, which we've been mentioning a lot, 40th anniversary of the Society. So it was a particularly big gathering, and a lot was made, quite rightly, about how since the beginning of the Society, humble beginnings, we're in a lot of different countries with a lot of diversity. And so the concept of like a global gathering was particularly prominent for the 40th.
So it's really about bringing members from around the world together in each country and virtually to share in this experience. And this cask that has been picked out by Alex. So Alex, you flew over to the vaults in, was it February?
February.
Yep. And February of this year, and picked out, did a blind tasting. We'll show some photos here of how it all came together. Do you want to just run us through?
Yeah, I mean, I suppose, and the beautiful thing about it is delegates from all over, all the branches globally, we didn't know what to expect apart from, we knew why we were there, but not the process of it all. So we got there sort of day one, I guess you'd say, and it was all about making sure we knew what we were doing. So there was sensory training activities, which is, if you haven't done any blind tastings or especially the actual sensory training elements, they're just great. You think you know whiskey or flavour, and then you get opaque glass and get asked to spot flavour notes with just smell alone, things like that, and it puts you in a whole new headspace. But they took us through all of that to make sure that when we were eventually doing cask selection, we could know what we were talking about, what we were picking up from the whiskies we had in front of us. And then when we walked into the session to pick the cask, it looked quite standard. So there's two samples in front of each person. We thought, okay, they've already basically decided which two we get to choose from. It's a coin toss to an extent. And the first round was definitely that. It was, which do you prefer? Most people had sort of one that was a bit more bourbon cask influence versus a fortified influence. Not necessarily, but just to create a bit of difference. And then we locked that in. We thought, yep, that's our favourite. We're done and done. But then where it was just amazingly well run was the next stage, because once you had your cask locked in, all the rejected casks from everyone were put up into a central location, and you could go and you could try all the remaining that weren't locked in by a country at that point. And if you liked one more, you could sub it out. So it effectively meant that rather than just two, we were dealing with about 40 odd samples. And then people were sort of, making the tough call. Do I release the one that I'm pretty comfortable with because I might like this one better, or really importantly for present purposes, our members might like this one better. And so we ended up just having a great selection. Interestingly though, I did stick with the one that was in front of me straight from the off.
And you had some other branches. So just to clarify one thing here, every branch that attended to the gathering back in February to pick these casks gets to pick their own cask for their members in their country.
Yep, absolutely.
And this is when you've got thousands of members in some countries and you've got one of 200 something bottles, it's not going to be much to go around, but it's going to be enough for us to share and offer up to members. But you told me earlier that you had members other branch members who were quite envious almost of what you'd selected, and they were hoping you would release it.
Absolutely. So, and there were questions, we weren't sure what the arrangement would be. I think it was definitely revealed pretty soon that our cask was for our country.
Yep.
But on the last day, once everyone knew that, because we hadn't had the casks that had been actually chosen by each other, because only the released ones went back onto that central location on day one, we all were given the a large sample of the one that we'd selected to make sure we could do our tasting notes, and that's a whole amazing part of the process as well, acting like the panel in determining the cask detail. But then we thought, well, we may as well share them all with each other. And particularly going around like the Chinese branch, Japanese branch, showing everyone ours, there was a lot of, oh, okay, you did do a good one there.
You picked a winner.
And of course, there were people who were hunting peated casks.
But you didn't know what the code was. You didn't know what the cask was or anything like that.
No detail at all, other than our sensory experience.
And opaque glasses, as you mentioned, so completely blue glassware that they can't see the colour through. They have to entirely rely on flavour.
Yeah, absolutely. And so then it was just about. I mean, some people sort of had a bit more, maybe say, fun with it. They just were a bit more casual and just went, yep, like that, make a few notes, and then did their tasting notes. I sort of did a little bit more academic, I guess. I did one set of notes with the total opaqueness, and then once we had the second day to do the panel process, I guess, I redid the notes blind. Obviously, you've seen the whiskey by then and you've confirmed your choice, but just to make sure they were the same day to day. Awesome. And then sort of converted that into my tasting notes.
Shall we do the big reveal? Alex, I'm
reveal.
going to leave it over to you because it is definitely your cask that you've picked.
Do the reveal.
So we're going to open cask 94.43.
And I should say as well that what you're about to see, we did not know this on the first day especially. We just were picking the cask for members. But as a fantastic, pleasant surprise, this is what you're all getting, Australia.
This is... Say the name.
Oh, it has ended up being called Soirée with Crème Brûlée, but as you can see, yours truly on the label, and I've even signed it. So any objection, you can send your notes to me.
So if anyone who doesn't like this, please don't contact me. Contact Alex, because he picked this out. This is a Mavericks 40th anniversary branch, Australian exclusive gathering cask. And this is a really big deal for us. It's a 12-year-old in the spicy and sweet flavour profile.
Which was actually another fascinating point, because everyone on the day one, when we had samples sort of 1 and 2 at that stage, everyone assumed there was just a bourbon and a sherry cask in front of them, because so just on the colour, and we know that society doesn't add colour, so people sort of going, yep, pretty pale and pretty sort of fortified influence. But then, and so a lot of people, I think, were quite influenced by that once they'd seen it. Whereas when we were doing the opaque nosing and everyone was sort of trying to guess the flavour profile by nose alone, a lot of them were falling in categories that weren't necessarily, your deep, rich and dried fruits or anything for that typical cask. So another just fun indicator that, sometimes we can be quite biased by what we're shown. Whereas flavour speaks for itself.
Yeah. Would you like to do the honours?
Let's do it.
So this is actually Alex's first time trying this outside of February's tasting panel. And as you know, bottled whiskey does often taste different from when you come to the sample. We're also in a different country. We're also 5 months later.
See if it stacks up.
6 months later. Here we go. Oh, that's off as well. Here we go. And first open of the first gathering bottling in Australia for September.
Done. Well,
pour a dram. Go for it.
Let's go for it.
Oh, thank you.
Very welcome.
Okay.
It is worth noting too, because, and a lot of the time when you do these cask assessments, including, we got a nice insight into what the panel actually does with all their casks, and because you're tasting samples, it might only be, a month or two or whatever, but because of production cycle, your sample isn't the bottled product, and so there can be that variation. You might think a sample is amazing and then it just goes down that tiny bit, or it might be pretty good and it just goes up to a phenomenal whiskey. There's a little bit. Slange it.
It's like off the nose straight away. It's very deservingly spicy and sweet.
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely. Some whiskies you go, oh, that could have been deep, rich and dry fruits, or that young and sprightly could have been sweet, fruity and mellow or something. But this is very deservedly spicy and sweet, which is actually one of my favourite flavour profiles.
Absolutely. I think from memory, and I don't have it in front of me, there was definitely sort of pencil box, that nice pencil shaving sort of school desk element of oak. Nothing too tannin, but definitely that's sort of also where that spice comes from.
60.9% natural cask strength.
Very desserty though, sort of the sweet element of it, as distinct from the spicy bit, is very like rich caramel, almost that taken right to the edge of dark caramel desserts, like the bottom of a tarte tatin or something,
or a creme brulee.
Well, exactly.
Yeah. It's like a creme brulee sort of nose to it. Yeah, it is very desserty. It's very rich, and it's quite early in the day here right now. So just letting
Yeah, certainly my first drink of the day.
yeah, it's my first drink of the day. It's not quite lunchtime here, so it's not even But there's a lovely balance to it. It's not just cask.
Yeah, absolutely.
There's a lovely spirit balance to that as well.
I love it when, particularly desserty, people talk about dessert drams. I think that's often what they're actually talking about. You know, those. I'm a bit of a fan of those portmanteau terms and then unpacking them. But what they probably mean most of the time is it's got fruit, it's got some sort of syrup caramelized element, and it's got like the bready element, which usually means the malt is probably shining through, and that's a spirit-driven component.
There is a slight sort of like sweet bread, like what do you call it? Like almost like
sweet bread, not sweet breads.
Yeah, not sweet bread. Sorry, but like sweet bread. Two words.
Like a brioche concept. Yeah, absolutely.
I was going to say brioche or croissant sort of note to it, like a buttery sort of croissant.
Definitely.
It's got also that it does have a bit of that sort of antique French furniture polish note going.
Yeah.
Like a little bit of that whole sort of like you go to a lovely old, an auction of some old furniture, and there's that one piece of like a French chest of drawers that have that old smell of.
Which I sometimes say polish as a tasting note when you're hosting events or whatever, and people said, especially newer people who haven't seen me do that quite a bit, go, but that means that it's an off note. And I said, no. Definite difference between sort of nail polish varnish and that lovely French polish surface on furniture.
Oh, yeah. Because it's more, you're getting more of the wood from that French furniture polish, that sort of that old French oak kind of thing going on. Now, this is a special cask treatment as well, it's worth noting. This has had a maturation in a first fill HTMC barrel, which stands for heavy toast medium char. So it's had an additional maturation in a very special, quite unique cask type that's really lifted that spirit up.
It's fascinating too, because just talking to the guys on the day, and everyone was there doing their cask selections, it was absolutely fascinating how many people were calling HTMC as a sherry, and even vice versa.
Yeah,
just because it gives you that richness, and because of the extra maturation, you've gone from you've ticked along with the bourbon maturation, usually first maturation in bourbon, certainly in this case, and then you've just refreshed all the vibrancy of that like oak and the vanillas, and so people sort of go, oh, it's sweet enough to be a sherry, but no sherry cask final maturation for it. I love them when they change too. I mean, all whiskey does, but just when there's that almost quite rapid change, you go through these motions of it, or sort of like different movements.
Well, this is a fresh bottle where you saw us just open it, and so it's going to take a moment, even just in the glass, just to open up over the last sort of minute or two that we've been talking about it.
Yeah.
Have you tasted it yet?
I have not.
Okay.
I think I might now.
I might now as well. Yeah.
We should have done that at separate times to avoid dead air, but.
No, it's fine. It's fine. Yeah. We're not on the radio. We're on YouTube.
Oh, it's good.
I'm going to try a drop of water.
I was curious to see, as we were talking about the difference with bottling versus sampling, whether the ABV, because I remember it being quite, or there was a very distinct, I should say, difference when water was added.
This is very, the nose immediately with water, diluted, it has much more of that barley note. Like it's sort of, the water sort of bypasses that sort of rich desserty stuff and goes straight to to a rich sort of barley note straight away. Which I love. That's a sweet barley note.
Yeah, and it's there even at the full strength. The spirit is definitely there, which is very pleasing. Never like it to be so cask saturated that it loses distillery quality.
Yeah. Well, and you are sort of the de facto president of this distillery, aren't you?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
You're quite the
If anyone's looking for their representative in Australia, I already have a gig. But if I didn't, I'd be right there. with you.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. It's not a popular single malt brand, not in Australia at least. But I think it's an underrated spirit. And I love the fact that you picked this blind and went. It doesn't matter what the code is. It doesn't matter, and this is just great malt whiskey. And I think this is almost a really good one as a sharing bottle for the gathering as well, because it's like it shows that it's going to be it's something you could share around. This is this is a dessert dram. This is something you have just after the dinner with some friends, kind of whiskey.
Absolutely.
And
Yeah, the balance is great. It's always that not a risk but a concern, and especially if you tried it, you already know. But if you're just thinking, will a whiskey be good, and you get it and it's a bit unbalanced, it throws you right off. If the flavors don't work together or it's not well integrated, you're getting a lot of cask, and then you're getting a lot of spirit or not enough of either one of them. But the balance through this is very good.
Yeah, absolutely.
Some of my old distilling friends would say, it's a well constructed.
Yes, it is a very well constructed. The balance of cask and spirit and dessertness and savoury notes to it just come together really nicely. There are gathering events happening all around the country throughout September. If they're not on our outturn, it's September Outturn, they will be on just check the website, because that often gets updated, much quicker than we can update a physical publication. But in the meantime, of course, we're also hosting our digital gathering, which will be the virtual one, which has this whiskey in it, as well as 4 other gathering casks from around the world, which we're very lucky to secure a very small number of exclusively for events. So if you come to the gathering events, you'll get to try these kind of whiskies, which will not be for sale. However, this gathering release will be released. The Alex Moore's cask will be released a little bit later into the month, a little bit later into September. But keep an eye on for the first Friday of September, which is the 1st of September. And Alex, thank you so much for picking this cask for our members. This is a really special milestone and a really special bottling from the SMWS, and we're really excited to share this with our members.
Absolutely. Thanks for trusting me with it, and I hope the members out there agree. It's a great one to celebrate 40 years and just gathering in the Australia for another year.
Exactly. Cheers.
Cheers.
Slanjo.